Hey everyone, welcome to Buzzing About Romance Happy Hour. I am Becky, your main host this evening, and joining me for co-host duties is Carolina. Hi Carolina.
Hello.
And we are super excited to be joined by author Priscilla Oliveras, and we are celebrating the release of West Side Love Story, which I've been talking about this book for like 2 months. The girl at our Mexican restaurant knows about
True
it.
story. True story.
Like,
Thank you.
welcome to Happy Hour.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love happy hour. It's my favorite hour of the day. So I was like, when Kathleen, my publicist, first mentioned it, I was like, sign me up, please. So thank you for the invite.
Of course, I was so excited when she reached out to us because she gave me the synopsis and I'm like, yes. How do I get that book now? Because there were so many things about it. Like, it's a retelling. I love a good retelling. And anyway, we will talk about all the stuff in this book.
Yeah.
It's so good.
You had me at mariachi band. That's where you had me.
Yay.
And I have this love affair with The Island Affair.
Oh, thank you.
I love that book. I love that book.
Oh, thanks.
And so I was like a little bit of a girl crush moment when the email came through. I'm like, she wants to hang out with us, maybe? Okay.
I do. Yay.
So.
Oh, no. Thank you so much. I was excited when Kathleen emailed me.
Yeah, so fun. Okay, so Carolina, are you prepared to read Priscilla's bio for us?
Sure.
Because I mentioned this before we started.
Priscilla Oliveras is a USA Today best-selling author with the 2018 RWA RITA double finalist who writes contemporary romance with a Latinx flavor. She and her work have earned praise from the Oprah Magazine, Washington Post, New York Times, Entertainment Weekly, Redbook, Publishers Weekly, and the Booklist, among others. Holy crap.
Right?
Priscilla earned her MFA in writing popular fiction from Seton Hill University and currently serves as an adjunct faculty in the program and teaches online class romance writing for Ed2Go. While she's a devotee of the romance genre, Priscilla considers herself a sports fan, beach lover, and Zumba aficionado who often practices the art of napping in her backyard hammock. I love the art of napping.
Yes.
I love a nap.
It's good to practice. Oh my gosh, a power nap, a long nap, a nap in the sun. I'm all about naps.
Nap, an afternoon nap.
Yeah.
My kids give me a hard time because from the hours of 3:30 to 4:30 every day, I'm always like, I'm just going to go in and read a book in the bedroom. And they're like, really?
Sure, Mom.
I'm like, just pretend that it's siesta time.
I think there's really something to that. Having that, right? Having that short break, recharge, re-energize, and then you're good to go for the rest of the day. I power napped for this evening.
Yeah.
I power napped on the couch with my grandpups for tonight.
I love
that
it.
is fair. I on the couch myself this afternoon for a nice little hour, and it was just what I needed to rejuvenate.
Yeah.
Okay, so rules of the night. You can ask all the questions in your chat, and we will do our best to answer them. In the description of the video, there are links to all the places to connect with Priscilla. We'll also share them in the chat. I lost my place. If you follow, like, and subscribe at the end of the night, one lucky person will win us. They're going to win a Buzzing About Romance t-shirt. I will ship off to them. Although I wore my Buzzing About Romance t-shirt earlier this week. And my mother actually left me last weekend to go to San Antonio for 2 months. So she does my laundry. And so
the truth comes out. The truth comes out at the very beginning of happy hour.
Right? So I'm a little behind on my laundry because my laundry fairy.
I tried to lean forward. I was like, what is that logo for Buzzing About Romance? But it's a pretzel.
It's a
I was
pretzel.
like,
It's
that's not their logo.
it's actually for Piper Rain's their Hockey Hottie series. It's the logo
Ooh, hey, there you
all
go.
twisted over the Florida Fury, which is their
I
hockey
love it.
team that they
Hey,
it was
so it's
clean.
romance themed.
It was
But
clean.
it's romance themed, so there you go.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kick things off in the traditional bees way. Priscilla, what are you drinking this evening? You put thought in this.
I did.
You're
Well,
like,
because I thought, am I gonna try to whip up like a really good, or I love my favorite would be like a glass of cava, which like a
Mhm.
bubbly from Spain. But if you open a bottle of bubbly, you really
You
need
have
to
to drink
finish a
it.
bottle of bubbly. It might last until the next morning, right? But maybe not. And I didn't need to drink a whole bottle of bubbly because my daughter and her husband are not drinking right now, or she's not even here. But anyway, so I nixed the bottle, and we did have a bottle of a Spanish Rioja, so it's a red wine that we opened the other evening.
Nice.
That is really good. If I can put like in the comments later. I think it's a Campo Viejo Rioja. That's really tasty. So that's what I'm sipping right now.
that sounds fantastic. I like a dark red that kind of, I always compare it to it. They're nice and dry and they suck all the saliva out of your
Mm,
I love that. I
this one's
love
really
that.
good. Mm,
And it pairs so well with chocolate.
yes, like it's a good reason to have some dark chocolate.
Yes.
Or
Absolutely.
also sometimes I'm a big fan of Trader Joe's dark chocolate covered coffee beans. Those
Mm.
have fueled me to many a deadline. But so yeah, like a piece of dark chocolate, like a Dove's, or some just get like a shot glass full of of those chocolate covered coffee beans, and
Excellent.
pair it with
A
your
shot
wine. Is
glass.
good.
I'm like a coffee cup of chocolate coffee.
Well, when I'm on deadline, if I'm careful, I cannot have the box on my desk because I'll eat more than
Yeah.
I. So really, it's funny the box is actually on our bar, and I'll get a shot glass of them and go to my
Smart.
desk and to kind of limit myself so I could
So smart.
yeah.
So smart. When
So
my kids were little, I used to use mini cupcake paper, the little mini
mhm,
ones that were
yeah,
paper, and I'd put M&Ms in it, and that was like all they were allowed to have because they could throw it away, and it wasn't that many, and
yeah.
they'd end up all over the floor, and a dog would eat them. So if you ever
So
need
what
a
do you?
disposable version, Carolina, what are you drinking? I know it's a work night for Carolina.
Yes, and I have
Yeah.
an early morning tomorrow. But in spirit of my favorite drink, which is ginger beer and bourbon, which is usually my go-to,
Ooh.
I'm drinking ginger ale.
Well, there we
Hey,
go.
well, there you go.
And I'm pretending it has the bourbon in it.
It's in the family.
It's in the family.
And I went with a margarita. I love
Yum.
tequila. I really am desperate. One of our listeners and book club members, she keeps talking about this train trip down in Mexico that does tequila tastings. You go from one
Ooh,
place to the next doing tequila. And I'm like, Ophelia,
really?
when are we going? When are we going? Because I need this. And she's like, I don't
Wow.
know. But I want to do tequila tasting. I want to do a sipping, but I have a basic on the rocks,
Yeah.
original
I
margarita.
will tell
Nothing
you,
wrong with the margarita.
no, in book 2, Patricio is the hero. You meet him in West Side Love Story, but he has invested in a tequila distillery in Guadalajara, where he's from. And so there's a scene where he's visiting there, and I'm scheduled to go to Puerto Vallarta in September on a writing trip, like a brainstorming, a writer's retreat, and we're trying to see if we can swing it to go over to like Jalisco, and hopefully we want to do the tasting, but I really want to be able to see if I can visit like an agave farm,
Yeah.
and go to one of the distilleries if we can. I figure it'll be research. It'll be like promo, for
I
the
have
book.
a friend who did that, and he like bought a portion of it. So he now he now produces his own tequila, and he goes back every so often to try it.
Really?
Like you can, it's like a tequila share.
Uh-huh. Oh, I'm gonna
So
have to reach out to you to see if I can. I mean, the book is done, so I can't change the book, but maybe he could give me some, some advice about like a good, distillery to that we could try to visit.
yeah, absolutely.
Gretchen says that she did a tequila tasting in Los Cabos a few summers ago.
Ooh, I bet that was
So,
fun. Yeah.
and she's drinking a local sour. I like a sour beer. I like a sour beer.
Ooh.
Anyway, and Gretchen is
I'll say.
Gretchen's in Santa Barbara, I think. So it'd be
Yeah.
local
Oh,
West
okay.
Coast.
I was going to say you, Carolina, you said that you were heading to Philly
I
soon. Is
am
that you?
in a couple weeks.
We just celebrated like the end of West Side Love Story was in the Amazon First Reads program. So we celebrated like the end of First Reads and then like the pre-kickoff to the release at El Vez. It's a Mexican restaurant that is like in Center City or down, or that area. I don't want to say like the wrong section. I feel like here in Philly, you can like cross the street and now you're like you were in Fishtown, but now you're in Kensington. You were in Old City, but now you're like somewhere else. So
Yeah.
it's El Vez, like it sounds kind of like Elvis, but it's two words, L and then VEZ. They have really good blood orange margaritas. That's what I had. And the food is delicious. The guacamole is delicious. But the blood orange margarita, I would definitely say try that if anybody's coming to Philly.
Yes. Well,
I just want
will
to
have to add
go.
it to my list.
I am a Mexican food addict and I'm not afraid to
Yum.
try things. I actually made a mistake and ordered something and it had like pork and chicken and beef and I ate the big giant jalapeno pepper that was on it, not
Ooh.
realizing, but I like spicy, so I thought it was no big deal. And my friend was like,
Becky.
they're like, I'm Mexican and I don't even eat those. I'm like, oh, well, I did. Now I'm suffering. But it was delicious.
My gosh.
It was delicious.
Wow.
She said it's called like the bull pepper. Like they grill it. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm not my mommy's from Puerto Rico and papi's Tex-Mex from San Antonio where West Side Love Story is set. But in Puerto Rico, we don't eat like spicy food like you do, like there's not chips and salsa on our table in Puerto Rico like there is. And my family, we have kind of a mix because like in our house, I grew up, like that mix of Puerto Rican and so I am more like a medium, hot or mild kind of person. Papi has all the Tabasco, all the, like when we make homemade salsa at home, he'll like save the seeds and the veins, and then we make a big batch of salsa, and then some containers are just Papi's and he puts like the seeds and makes them spicy, and then we like write on it, like on the lid, so this is not the one you want to get because this is his.
That would be the one I would try. I'd be like, oh, what's this? And
yes.
Big scoop right in the mouth.
Yes.
So I am going to put in the chat Priscilla's link to her newsletter. If you guys haven't signed up, you're going to want to sign up for that. Newsletters are great. A lot of times authors will give us little pictures into what they're writing. And then you won't be surprised when you see a beautiful new cover. And actually, that's what I did when I was on Amazon creeping on things. And then I saw the book 2 was out. I was like, how did I miss this? So then I ran over and did sign up for the newsletter.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I'm not missing any more of these.
Yay. Well, and I will say, I don't know, like if you follow me on Amazon, if you would have gotten a notification or not, but definitely in my newsletter. And usually my news and notes email will go out once a month, typically like near the end of the month. And yeah, I'll put like sales or updates, or if I'm going to be somewhere in there. Leading up to a release, so like leading up to West Side Love Story, the last like 3 weeks I did one a week, but then what I do is I'll share like insider info. So I've shared pictures, like familia pictures that inspired places, or so like locations or events or people in West Side Love Story. I've shared so far just with my newsletter subscribers. I haven't put the family pictures up yet on Instagram. I don't know if I will or not, or if I'll just keep it as like a little insider info. So leading up to release, you'll get one, a couple more newsletters, but usually it's once a month.
I have been loving, you've shared little pictures of like your mom and dad. Are they with you
Yes.
then in Philly right now?
No,
No,
just mommy and papi are at home, and usually like we have a restaurant, a Korean restaurant that we'll go for release day. So they went on their own, or actually no, they were gonna go, but papi was running errands and instead he picked up Mexican food from our little local restaurant near the house. But so they've been celebrating like we got Queen's mariachi shirts in honor of West Side Love Story and Kiss Me Catalina. And I ordered one, and then I ordered some for like as giveaways. And mommy was like, wait a minute, where's mine? I need one. So
I love it.
So they took a picture of mommy in her Queens of Mariachi shirt, papi in his Mi Tierra is a restaurant, a well-known restaurant in San Antonio, and it's in West Side Love Story.
Yeah.
They actually go there for a meeting, and the first round of the Battle of the Mariachi Bands takes place at Market Square there. And so papi put on his Mi Tierra picture and t-shirt, and they took a nice little promo pic with West Side Love Story. And then Amazon, my publisher is Montlake, so one of Amazon's publishing arms, their romance, and they were super sweet. They sent a gorgeous bouquet of flowers, like as a congratulations. Only I'm here in Philly, not there. And so mommy and papi FaceTimed, and they were like, look what just arrived. They're so beautiful. They smell beautiful. And I asked her if she would, I was like, hey, take a picture and I'll share it on social media, or I'll send it to my editor. And she took a picture with them. And then she's so good. She like staged an Instagram picture of the book and the flowers. And so I was like, Mom, you're like a pro now.
Go mom. That's so awesome.
I love it.
Mommy's getting into the bookstagramming.
They're so adorable though, like, because they have been popped up all week on your different things. And I'm like, look at that. My mom and I are very close. She lives with us half the year, like I said. And so I'm just like, gee, if I could get my mom to take all the pictures.
They are really, really good. I'm like, they'll do promo videos, they'll do celebrations. Even mommy is not, she doesn't drink alcohol, because like she has diabetes and so it's not so good. But she will like have a sip of, like if we open a bottle, but usually when I send off a manuscript or I've finished something, like a celebration. And there was one night, papi has a little part-time job, pre-pandemic. He has it now, but pre-pandemic, he came home, he got home at about like 12:30. And I was just finishing up. I had to turn in the book the next day. So I was like just finishing up. And he poked his head into the lanai where I was working. And he was like, are you close? And I said, yeah, I think I'm going to be done in the next 30 minutes. And he said, oh, okay, I'll stay awake so that I can have some bubbly with you.
Oh.
I stayed awake, and at like 1:15 in the morning, we were popping a bottle of cava to celebrate shipping off the book.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's so
sweet. Wonderful.
Yeah, they're really good.
So let's get to know you a little more, because now I feel like we're all family. It's like I want to adopt your mom and dad. So have you always been a reader?
Yeah, I think mommy papi will share a story probably like the summer between 2nd and 3rd grade, or 1st and 2nd grade. I got like some kind of award for reading the most books over the summer, right when school started again. I think a lot of writers before they move into writing, they're readers. But so always been a reader. First, always, a romance reader. I think I started young with those like Sweet Valley High, and then moved into adult romance. My first adult romance that I ever read, pre that I was like Victoria Holt Gothic novels, those kinds of things, right? We were in high school, we were waiting out a hurricane in the Keys because we lived in Key West, and Island Affair. And by day 2, I was your typical like 15-year-old born out of my mind. Like this was pre Game
Yep.
Boys or anything like that, right? I'm probably dating myself. But so I was like bored out of my mind, probably driving my parents, like batty. And Poppy, as part of his hurricane supplies, he took a bag full of Harlequin Presents and Harlequin romances because he was a romance reader. And so he basically like shoved the bag at me and was like, take one of my books
Wow.
and read it, like get out of our hair. And that ushered me into the world of Harlequin romance and the romance genre for, on the adult level. And I never looked back.
That's such
I
a great
love
story.
I love how it was Poppy who gave it to you. Like you don't hear that often.
No, mommy reads, but she would mostly like, I probably would have been more Spanish books, but Papi, for as long as I can remember, he's still, I remember as a kid seeing him like walk out the door and those mass markets, the size, like it would fit in his back pocket. So he would
Yeah.
have a book like that in his back pocket. I remember pulling out of out of Key West and getting me, I don't know, a little bit up the overseas highway, and Papi was like, oh wait, I forgot my reading glasses, and we turned around and went back home. We were driving to
Oh
San
my
Antonio
God.
from Key West, and we went back so that he could get
Yep.
his reading glasses.
I love that. Oh my gosh, that's the best story ever. I love that. And as you say, Sweet Valley High, I had this conversation with somebody the other day. I figured out my very first book boyfriend was Logan from the Babysitters Club.
Oh my gosh.
But I was like a 5th grader,
Wow.
so, and then by the time I was in 7th grade, I was reading Jude Devereaux. So
Yeah.
I mean,
You upgraded pretty fast.
it was a quick escalation, but Logan from the Babysitters Club, pretty sure he's my first book boyfriend.
I love it.
That is too cute. Oh my gosh.
So next question we like to ask is, what kind of writer are you? Are you a pantser or a plotter or somewhere in between?
Or like a plotzer, huh? Yeah. I'm probably a plotzer, but leaning really heavily in the plotter. Like before it takes me a while to start a book because I like to get to do a lot of character work, figure out like basic character sketch, right? Like where you can describe them, but then like going deeper and doing their goals and motivation and conflicts and looking at their backstory and what led them to like where they are, when the book opens, like what's their wound, like what happened in the past, kind of thing. And then it does help me, like those imposter syndrome doubts for me really rear their heads at the beginning. Like, do you really know what you're doing? And so for me, if I got the book, like at least the main scenes plotted out, even a lot of the times I'll kind of have an idea of what I want the last scene to be, and or what to be like. If I've plotted, sometimes it's like 3/4 of the way, so that I feel like, yes, this is a good story. I can see how the arcs are coming. That helps me to like shush those doubts, right? Like, yes, I do have a plan. I do know where I'm going. So you stay over there in the corner and hush. Now, often as I start writing, like a new idea will come up, or like I'll have scene cards and 3x5 note cards, and sometimes I'm writing and in a scene that I thought was going to happen, something better comes up, or like a character will whisper like, what about this, or I need to do that, or so that plan could change. It often does. And sometimes a scene will be thrown away, sometimes the scene is moved because something else needs to happen. But it helps me to kind of feel more secure of that I'm not going to be writing in circles if I have a game plan.
So West Side Love Story is the first in a series. Do you like plot per book, or have you plotted out a little bit of the series so you know where future characters are going to?
Well, so with the proposal, like when I came up with the idea and I submitted to Montlake, I gave them, like I had a synopsis and then pages for book 1 and a synopsis and a character list and character description of the main characters for book 2. That's Catalina and Patricio, and like secondary characters. I had a whole cast list, so I had a really strong idea. Kiss Me Catalina is a reimagining of Taming of the Shrew. So I didn't have it plotted out, but I knew like what was going to happen. Taming of the Shrew, they get married, right? You know, and he takes her away to his kingdom or country or whatever. Cat's not gonna, that doesn't happen in this, not in my reimagining, right? And one thing I was really adamant about in the original, there's a lot of like the patriarchy and the machismo would be like really, and so I kind of wanted to turn that around a little bit. And Kat gives Patricio as good as she got, but instead of getting married and going off to a kingdom, she signs a contract with his record label. Patricio is an international mariachi, like heartthrob superstar, and Kat is the second oldest, but like the musical
She's
director.
super sassy in this book. Like
Yes.
she's sassy.
Yes.
So her
Yes, she
character,
is.
like I imagine that book to be a bit explosive. Like
it took me a while. I was kind of intimidated by them both because I'm not as outspoken as Catalina is, and so it took me. I wanted to make sure that I could, you know, crawl into her skin and into her head and his as well. Like they're both very strong characters, and I needed to get in their heads and get Priscilla out of the way and be them. But so I knew that what happens is she signs a contract with Padua Records to help him write his second album and go on tour with him. So that's like the go to my kingdom, you know, and there's a time where they go visit his, he's got a beach house in Puerto Vallarta. And so there's some chapters there, but that's the kind of like getting her away from her comfort zone of her family and like what happens in, you know, Taming of the Shrew. But so West Side Love Story, I knew, you know, I had a really in-depth synopsis for that, and then a shorter synopsis for Kiss Me Catalina. That has stayed pretty true. There's, you know, I didn't have scenes broken down for the second one, but the gist of what I had has stayed. And then I have a loose idea for book 3, but I don't know if I'll do that one.
And now we have to wait until November for that story. Thanks a lot. Like I'm hooked. I'm ready for it. Right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It was a lot of fun. There are different vibes in both of the books. You know, in West Side Love Story, it's a lot of the family angst, and you really get to know the Capuleta sisters and their backstory. They're 9 sisters. They're foster sisters. They came to Arturo and Delta Capuleta. They call it Casa Capuleta. They came through the foster care system. Mariana on her own, and the young and one of the other teens, Nina, on their own. And then the other sisters came, 2 in pairs and 1 as a group of 3 sisters. But along the way, they've become adopted. The newest one, not yet, but so
she's
there's
got
a
attitude
lot.
Too.
Nina, yeah, she has.
She does.
You know, they all have had, you know, different experiences. And I will say, I really wanted to try to be respectful to the foster care system and children and people who have. I'm not. That's not my background, and so I needed to make sure that I could write, you know, characters coming from that and experiencing that respectfully. I did a lot of research, listened to a lot of podcasts. I reached out to someone in DFAS, in San Antonio, to, you know, ask them about like, hey, this is my setup. Is this possible? And what could, just to make sure that, you know, for believability and trying to be respectful of that, because it's really key into the sisters and who they are.
it is a beautiful found family vibe in this book. Like,
and
gorgeous.
I think it's also
Thank you.
more of a contemporary family because it's like non-traditional. And so it is that found family, but it also has like the classic Hispanic family bonding as well. Like once the girls are all adopted and the ones that have have committed to being part of the family. It's like my family growing up. Like I related to kind of that connection that they all had,
Oh,
and the parents. So
oh, I'm glad you felt that. Thank you.
yeah.
I think that part of yes, I write with, a lot of Latinx influence, right? And not all of my leads, like somewhere in here, Her Perfect Affair, Jeremy is not, Latinx, but predominantly the main familia that I write about that is across the series, it's a Latinx familia. But my hope is always that, when a reader finishes the book, if they're Latinx, and we're not all the same, right? Even I can see that in my mommy's family and papi's family, right? How Puerto Ricans are different from Mexicans. So not that my book, encompasses everybody, but my hope is if you're Latinx and you read one of my books, you feel like a little bit of a connection. You see a little bit of a glimpse of yourself or your familia, or you feel like in touch with our cultura. And if you're not Latinx, then I hope that you see how it's not all that my characters are. It is a large part of them, but I hope maybe you finish with like an appreciation for our culture, or having felt like you experienced it a little bit.
Well,
Well,
and
and
one of
even
the, oh, go ahead, Carolina.
well, and I was gonna say, even I don't speak Spanish. I understand a lot of it, because I grew up, with it. My
Hearing
grandparents
it
speaking it, hearing it. I know some words, and I can ask for a margarita and where to go to the bathroom, right? Like the important things.
Important questions.
Important things,
Especially at happy hour.
especially at happy hour. But the Spanglish, if you will, like that you interwove and everything, and I'm like, I feel like I'm back home. I feel like I'm at like my grandparents' house, and like it was just kind of that natural. It touched me personally, of just being able to read that and connecting with that. So
Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing. I try hard to. I would say, are you, Becky? Do you speak Spanish?
No, no.
So were you able to understand? Like, I try hard, like, to use context clues,
yes.
so that
So
I
actually,
don't want someone to have to like run to Google Translate.
No. Well, and I went to Catholic school, so I have actually 6 years of Latin, which is so not useful anywhere in the world. But so I did understand. I didn't have any issues, but I don't mind. I mean, honestly, I'm a little bit culturally obsessed. Like, I love the Spanish culture. I just find it fascinating, and the passion and the people. And so I totally immersed myself in this book. And actually, I need to talk about the cover because I am obsessed. First of all, I love that she has hips. Like, that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like,
and a butt.
Yes, this is what it's supposed to be. And it's gorgeous. Like, my child tried to steal it, and I'm like, I'll buy you your own copy. That one's mine. Leave it.
The artist is Lucia Picerno, Picerno. I've tagged her. Like, if you look for me on Instagram, I've tagged her in posts on Instagram. It's at badass.femme, FEMME. She is like a Latinx feminist artist. It really meant a lot to me that, like, from the beginning, my editor said, we want to find a Latina artist, to work on the cover. And they had, they looked at several, I think they had two, but so they ultimately went with Lucia. And they did, like, in the initial phases, they gave me some drawings, like some sample sketches. Some were, they were in their charros, some where they were in street clothes. And just like from the beginning, when I saw them, they were all beautiful, right? Like, great sketches. But I said it was really important for me, for them to be in their charros. It's a part of, it's such, not just that it's a part of the story, but it's also a part of them. I feel like Lucia did, so kudos to Montlake for, agreeing. And then Lucia just did an amazing with West Side Love Story. And then she also did Kiss Me Catalina. I was going to see if I could bring it up here on my phone, but I don't want to be looking down the whole time. But it is up on Amazon. It's up on my website.
I'll share it
She
tomorrow
did a
to
beautiful
Instagram,
job.
you guys. I'll send it. I'll share it tomorrow to
They're
Instagram because
gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
I'm obsessed. Ophelia says, seeing those Spanish words is so meaningful to us who feel represented when we see them. Such a kinship with the author. So,
Oh, gracias, Ophelia.
Ophelia is my friend that is going to take me on the train ride of tequila tasting. She's like, she promised. We're going. I'm like obsessed.
I want to see those pictures and hear about it. I will say, like, the Spanish, I had someone ask me one time, how do you know when to switch into Spanglish, like Spanish Spanglish? And there's not really a when. It's really, it's just, I spoke Spanish first and then learned English, like on the playground. And then as mommy got better and better in English, we kind of started speaking more English at home and in Spanish summers when my sister and I were in Puerto Rico over the summer with my abuela. That's, we practiced then. But being able to code switch it, like it's just, so when I write it, I'm in the character's perspective. It just flows,
natural.
like natural. Like mommy and I can be in the kitchen cooking dinner together, and the example, because she actually said it one time and we stopped and laughed. She was like, "Mira, dame eso from the microwave," right? And she's like saying, "Hey, look, give me that thing from the microwave," and so because we both speak the languages, we can code switch back and forth. So it's just it flows naturally, and it's a part of them. Thus far, the Latinx characters that I've written have been fluent, in the language. Someone did ask me, did I worry about with West Side Love Story, would the sisters have spoken so much Spanish with each other at their age? And for me, the clear answer was, well, yes, because they're so steeped in the culture and living it in the mariachi, industry. And so it was natural for them to be able to speak Spanish and English and, then Spanglish.
Yeah.
And it read that way. It read very natural. Like it read like the conversations that I would have with my cousins, and it naturally flowed. It had that authenticity. And for anybody who doesn't know Spanish or speak Spanish, you do an excellent job of finding ways to share what that means, like give context to it without being completely like, oh, this is like, here's the translation. Like that flowed as well and was really natural to the flow of the story. So it was beautiful, beautifully written.
I have problems with English sometimes. So really your Spanish was just fine and I was not lost or confused. Your poor publicist. I was like, because I looked at your name and I was like, listen, can you just make sure to send me a phonetic out of your last name? Because I didn't want to screw it up. Because at the end of the day, if anybody was going to screw up your name, it's going to be me. I rename characters and say the names.
True story.
I went through a whole book thinking a guy's name was Rise, and it was actually Reese. He spelled it R-H-Y-S.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
So I'm that girl. So your Spanish to English went just fine.
But you know what? Having the phonetic spelling is a really smart idea to add to Write Prescott. I'll probably mention that to Kathleen, that maybe we should add it. I tried, like, even from the beginning, like with my debut series, the Match Perfection series. It's three sisters. They're set just outside of Chicago, like in a fictional suburb, and so in and around Chicago. But like I said, I don't want a reader to feel like they don't know what's happening. Just because my goal is for a reader to feel like they're in the story. But that I don't want them to have to move, jump out to like a Google Translate or whatever, and then you can't always trust, the translate. So I try to do things like, there's a scene in the Match Perfection where Lily is the youngest, Yasmin's the oldest, and they're arguing about something, and Yasmin tells Lily, "Cállate la boca," and I don't say something in Spanish and then think it in my head in English, right? If you speak both, you get it. So why would you repeat it? So it doesn't make sense for someone to repeat it. But in order for the audience or the non-speaking reader, what I did was then Lily's like, don't tell me to shut my mouth. I can say whatever I want to say, right? And the argument continues. So hopefully the reader stuck with me through what Yasmin said in Spanish to like get kind of the translation in Lily's, response back to her. So I don't know if I always do that well enough, but that's what I try to do, like get it in a believable way, but so that, people don't feel like they're left out.
I don't, and I love your books. So, and everybody's always like, and actually, as I read this one, I had forgotten because it'd been a minute since I read Island Affair, and I was like, oh, it fades to black, and this is how she writes, and which is fine. But it was just one of those moments like, oh, yeah, okay. So I just know going into your books that, pay attention, read the context clues, be smart. Don't be typical Becky. But it went real. I mean, I love this. I'm obsessed. And actually, my sister's been in San Antonio for like 5 years, and I have not gone to visit her. Well, there was a pandemic. There was a pandemic. And so she's like, so are you coming to visit me? And I was like, yes. And I actually have a list now of places that we're going to go. She's
yay.
Okay.
I mean, everybody, they don't go to the Riverwalk in West Side Love Story. In part because it didn't fit in. Like they have a picnic, they go to the Pearl Brewery District because that's an area that has been gentrified and it's been revitalized, and gentrification is one of the issues that battle lines along the gentrification lines is one of the issues. So that seemed more appropriate. I think most people, when they hear San Antonio, they think of the Riverwalk. So even though it's not in my book, that should be on your to-do list. The Alamo is beautiful to go to, but there are a lot, like definitely I would say go, even if it's just to get an appetizer or to go hit the panaderia at Mi Tierra. You definitely get the margaritas though if you're going as well. Yes. Anyway, but and walk around Market Square. So there are places. The Majestic Theater, I will say, and I shared this in my news and notes along with a picture of Papi, but I chose the Majestic. One, it's a smaller thing. Like I didn't have the battle at a really large venue. Patricio's concert is at the AT&T Center. But I chose the Majestic Theater one because I did research, and yes, they do have a lot. They have a lot of small, concerts there, and a lot of Mexican and mariachis and rancheros, and I've had concerts there. But also, I wanted to have it there because Papi, when he was 15, he was an usher at the Majestic Theater. And so we have an old picture of him in his usher, outfit, in his usher uniform. And so again, I tried to like pick places. So if you're there and there's a concert, definitely go to the Majestic. It's beautiful. And so that place I would definitely recommend. But I can't wait to hear about your trip when you go.
Yeah, hopefully over the winter when it's like -9 million degrees here in
yes, go
and we're having lake effect. We'll go.
Oh my gosh.
Hannah says, coming from another culture with an immigrant first-generation background experience, though not Latinx, I love the natural cultural rep because it makes me feel less other, and that makes sense. And Gretchen completely agrees with it. So
nice. I will say one of the changes in my first books, and it might be even an Island Affair. I don't know if we got it, that if we were able to make that change in time, but when they spoke Spanish, the words were italicized. And there was there's been a big discussion amongst Latinx authors and maybe more diverse, but I just have been in on like Latinx discussions. Do we italicize the words, or could that be like othering? And initially I would italicize because I thought, if you're listening to the book on Audible, the narrator just switches to Spanish, right? Back and forth easily. And I thought maybe if it's size, it could be like a visual cue to the reader, like read this or hear it in Spanish. But yet there's a really strong argument about, by italicizing, it makes it different, it makes it other. And for the Spanish speaker, they're gonna already hear it. They're already gonna say that, recognize that word. And so since then, since probably like Island Affair or Anchored Hearts later, I haven't used italicized to avoid, because yes, I'm writing, I will be honest, and I'm writing for every romance reader, even the non-romance readers. Try a romance novel. But they're really like, I'm really the person that I'm hoping is, I was at the Texas Book Festival at Austin several years ago when Her Perfect Affair came out. And at the signing, a girl, probably mid-20s maybe, came up, and she had Rose's book, because that's, and like to her, and when she got to the front of the line, she like kind of leaned closer and like to share something, like, like privately. And she was like, when I read His Perfect Partner, which was my debut, it was the first time that I saw anybody on a page on the cover that looks like me, that looks like my primas. And I just really wanted to say thank you. And that's the person really like at the heart, because when I was 25, I wasn't finding any books that had lead characters that looked like me, or like my primas, or like Mami and Papi. If me having italics in Spanish makes that person feel othered in any way, that's not what I want. So we've taken out the italics, and just it's just a natural part of their dialogue or their inner thought.
I love that. I love that. And that story makes me a little weepy, because I want everyone, love is for everybody. Romance is for everybody. And I want everyone to feel repped in romance. And I love all of the way things are going right now with the more queer rep and the Latinx rep and the BIPOC. Yes. I love all of it, and I'm here for all of it. So it just, anyway. But
exactly. Well
Carolina
said,
needs to talk about mariachi bands, because as soon as
go.
I said, hey, listen, it's Romeo and Juliet retelling, but they're warring mariachi bands, she's like, okay, I'm in. I'm like, do you want to read the synopsis?
No,
and she's like,
mariachi bands, I'm there.
I'm in.
Sold.
I'm like,
Ooh,
okay, sister.
Okay. So I think you need to share, because you shared it with us before, on how you came about all-female mariachi band, because I think that's really, I mean, for anybody who's not familiar, it is very male dominated, and it has been for a long time. However, I mean, I remember growing up, we had Linda Ronstadt playing all the time. So iconic with her music and performances, and I think that helped break a lot of barriers. And as I go back to visit my parents in San Diego, we've gone to, or even my parents still go, not since the pandemic, but have gone to mariachi festivals, and so you see a lot more women, girls included in that. So anyways, I'm digressing, but I think you need to share that story, and then.
Okay, so like the idea came to me. There is another Latinx romance author, Sabrina Soul. She's writing like women's fiction with strong romantic elements as Annette Macias Chavez. And so I do need to say, her next book that comes out, it's also with Montlake. It's called Big Chicas Don't Cry. Beautiful cover.
I've seen that cover.
It's an amazing cover. Yes. Beautiful, like just the colors are really rich. And I was lucky enough to read an arc. And it's amazing. It's just a beautiful book. But so Sabrina, also Annette, several years ago, she sent me a link, and I was like, hey, Pris, I saw this and I thought of you. I thought you would like it. And it was a clip of an all-female mariachi band out in California, like on their local news. And as soon as I saw it, I was just like hit with, oh my gosh, I need to write. Like I don't know why, but like I just had this desire, like I just had this this need to write about an all-female mariachi band. And if I was going to do that, I knew that it would be set in San Antonio, where Papi was born and raised, and it would have to be there. So that was like the genesis of it. And then just the idea of the competition, right? And then like a main question for authors is what if, right? Like you read something, you hear something, you see something, you're in line in the grocery store and you hear something and you're like, oh, but what if, and what if that, right? And then it generates and it becomes like your own story. And so I like I knew, just like you said, the mariachi industry, it's getting better, and you're seeing more. Like there's one mariachi Flor de Toloache, and they, like, I follow them on Instagram. They've won recent years, they've won Grammys. But so I had this idea, and then we were in San Antonio visiting familia, and my tia was like, hey, there's a little at the mall nearby, there's a Mexican concert. There's a mariachi concert. I thought you might enjoy if we go. With all female. So we went. It was Mariachi Las Alteñas. I mean, they were wonderful, and I got their CD, and they were good, like fodder for my imagination. And so it just kind of like snowballed from there. But the idea of knowing, right, like one of their conflicts was, going to be how can they find their place in this, in a male dominated, especially in a culture that has a lot of machismo. And then kind of like the Shakespeare came in as I was thinking, like, there's a competition. What if, like there's another band that has it out for them? Why would they? Ooh, like what if they're like, they're like their nemesis? Why? And then as an English major and a Shakespeare fan, that just, it kind of oozed in, and I wanted to challenge myself with, I like to say it's a reimagining, not a retelling, right? So try to like pay homage and like hit some of the beats that a Shakespeare fan might notice, but also like in a different way. And so the mariachi competition kind of is one of those themes that is keeping the enemies to lovers. Also, there's like gentrification, but then just going into the research of mariachi industry and history, and learning about women who were there trying to push their way, and make a name for themselves, and how could my Capuleta sisters honor them, honor those like Mariachi Las Alteñas and Flor de Toloache and others, Mariachi Divas out in California and other ones. How could they honor them? And who are those groups that are really out there pushing the envelope and kind of like chipping away at that glass ceiling?
Yeah, it's such a cool take. There's nothing like it, and it was just so awesome. I really loved this book.
And it was, you also got, you definitely got the notes from Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. You also got, and then you have West Side Story, which is another retelling, reimagining of that. And there was oh gosh, I remember a moment because you kind of mentioned something, and it wasn't like battle. There was a word that I'm like, oh, that's West Side Story. Like there were moments of like, that was Romeo and Juliet. That was West Side Story. That was like the homage to that. Like,
I think it's with Patricio. It's when they're at Mi Tierra. Oh no, it might be when Mariana and Angela are FaceTiming.
Yes, that was FaceTiming. Yes.
Yeah. Ay, Dios mío.
I know. I'm trying to find it right now.
I wondered what you're doing, Carolina.
Rumble.
Rumble. Yes, Rumble. There Rumble? It was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rumble. Yeah. I tried hard. Like I watched the Leonardo DiCaprio, Romeo and Juliet, like multiple times, like trying to get those story beats, and and studied like Shakespeare, like the Spark Notes, like what are the beats and the themes and that kind of stuff. And then I watched West Side Love Story repeatedly to, again, just kind of like get in, wanting to pay homage. But so I took all these notes and then I put those notes over there, and then stepped into Mariana and Angela's world. And I was hoping that little nods to whether you're a West Side Story fan or a Shakespeare fan would come out. But they're like iconic, but I wanted them to organically come out. So like there's a scene where like the word rumble just came out, but there's a scene where Mariana and Catalina are in the car, Mariana and Angelo had just had like a moment. I don't want to say anything like before, right? And usually Mariana is like racing to rehearsal and she's like in her scrubs or she's like throwing on regular clothes, right? But she had like taken the time to do her hair and to put on some makeup, right? And so Kat's like, you look pretty, right? And I was typing it and Mariana says, I feel pretty. And I like paused and in my head I feel pretty, oh so pretty, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it fits. So I hoped that, there are a few times where that happens. Maybe, and a non-West Side Story person won't even get it, but hopefully it still seems believable. But if you are and you see that
like
little nugget,
Easter eggs. They're little Easter eggs. The hat tips to it. I love it.
I speak fluent Broadway, so it's fine. Musical theater, I speak fluently. So
okay, so in this too, you have the bands. You kind of go through a little bit of a set list, especially on some of the scenes, right? Mm-hmm. So was that inspired by some of the mariachi music that you listen to? Do you have a mariachi playlist that you are loving right now?
Carolina.
I do. Actually, if you bought like one of the pre-order, and I should have brought them in here, but it's in my room. One copy from Love Sweet Arrow, and I think my assistant lives near Love Sweet Arrow, so she can have some more. We designed, she designed, and then we had printed some Queens of Mariachi drink coasters that say West Side Love Story, and it has a QR code, and that QR code takes you to a Spotify playlist for West Side Love Story. And so there are like, I like you mentioned Linda Ronstadt. I have like the CDs of the album. It was called Canciones de mi Padre.
Yes.
Right? So it translates to my father's songs.
My father has the record.
Oh man. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I shared this actually early. Adriana Herrera and Natalie Caña and I were in an event with the Ripped Bodice. Natalie's book, oh my gosh, the proposal. I knew I was going to mess up her book title. I have to look it up now so I can put it in the notes. But Natalie's book comes out next week, and then Adriana's A Caribbean Heiress in Paris just came out on Tuesday, and then mine came out Wednesday. So we were in an event there, and I was sharing like. I remember having those CDs, and I was a young military spouse and young mom, and we were stationed over in Okinawa. And like I could play those songs, and it would help me like to feel closer to to Papi, and like so I listened to songs like that. I also listened to like current ones like sung by Natalia Jimenez. I listened to a lot of Ana Gabriel and Rocio Durcal. There's some Jenny Rivera, like ranchera music, not quite, mariachi. Selena is in there as well. Selena, like, you have to. So in the set, the playlist, like the girls do a mashup. The girls do a mashup.
Perfect.
Natalie's book is A Proposal They Can't Refuse.
Yes. The proposal. It was something different, and then they changed it, and it had engagement before, and I keep confusing myself. But it's A Proposal They Can't Refuse. Both of those books I've read, and they're amazing. So if you're looking for more Latinx romance, which hopefully you are, I would totally recommend those.
I read Adriana's. I have not read Natalie's yet, so I need to.
Adriana's it's her first historical, and she does a brilliant job of weaving.
Well, she wrote historical with her. She had novellas in the Rake. I'd like to.
Yes.
And the Duke. I'd like to.
And Duke.
Which.
Yes.
Woo! Yes. So our historical podcast that we host, Corset and Crown, did an interview with her, and she was talking about writing this book, and I was like, sister, I'm gonna need like a, but it's her big first full length.
No, it's
historical.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yes, her first full length that introduces Las Leonas. There are like three friends, and they are all, this book, A Caribbean Heiress in Paris, is set in Paris, like in the 1800s, when I'm not going to remember the exact year, but when the World's Fair was there. And so I would say, if you like the interview that we did is on Robota's Facebook group, because she talks about the history, but hopefully maybe she'll come on here, or you'll see her. But that one, and then Natalie's is contemporary. It's set in Humboldt Park in Chicago, so predominant Hispanic area in Chicago. And he is Liam, his family has like a whiskey distillery, and her family has a Puerto Rican restaurant, and their grandfathers are best friends, and they're playing matchmaker, and it's just community and comunidad and familia, and he's Irish and she's Puerto Rican, and it's just it's a really good, she does rom-com rompy very well.
Oh, I can't wait. That sounds so good.
Anyway, we were talking about Canciones de mi Padre, and music, and so.
Yes. So one of the commenters says that there's a telenovela that her mom loves called, I'm not going to say it correctly, but Del Mariachi.
La hija del mariachi.
Right.
Oh, La hija del mariachi. So the daughter of the mariachi.
Yeah, so when she heard about this book, it made her so happy. Like, she instantly had to read it. So that's so great. I love telenovelas. My grandparents used to live in Arizona, in the Tucson area. And when we'd go and visit, we'd have to spend, like, the afternoon watching telenovelas.
Watching telenovelas. They are, I will say, telenovelas are different from, you know, like English soap operas. Like, you know, they end. I think we were talking about this earlier, and you know, in the other group, about they hit great story beats, but what I like, they were just kind of extended, like maybe 3 months, 4 months, some might be longer, but I remember watching them with my abuela, you know, growing up, and you know, liking that. You knew there was going to come an end. Like soap operas, it's ad nauseum. They're married now, but like 2 years from now, he's going to come back with a different face or something like that, you know,
right.
or
and nobody's really dead, and they come back to life. And,
I always love the drama of the telenovela. They have the freeze frame stare, like perfect. Like, I always love that. Nice. I always think it's fun. Okay, so in the chat, you guys, I have put up Priscilla's Instagram, her website. Make sure you check all of those out. I'm going to also add her Amazon. If you are not following her at Amazon, make sure you do that. That helps you get notices when books go on pre-order, and also when releases happen. And it also helps the author with their searches on the Amazon algorithm. So I'm going to share that for you guys also. You don't think about it, but when it has that little follow button for an author, it actually is truly helpful to help out your favorite authors.
Thank you. Thanks.
Nope. No problem. If you have not liked and subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. If you guys are hanging out and you're participating in Summer Reading Challenge, make sure you, when this is over, you go over to the website and enter in that you participated in this live event. And that equals 1 entry for Summer Reading Challenge. And some of these people are bonkers. They're obsessed with the challenge.
Committed.
Wow.
We just wanted them to read books. Do you remember, like, when, I don't know if you had it when you were a kid, like, you go to the library and the library would have the big summer reading challenge and you would get prizes. So we created a grown-up version, and it's just a fun way. Yeah. So we had authors that came and sponsored giveaways, and they get swag and books, and so we wanted to make sure that they that as grown-ups we got to live in the summer reading challenge. So Hannah's over there going, "Get out! Who's bonkers? It's her. She's bonkers." So make sure you go make sure you go over to the website and sign up. So right now, you guys, you can get West Side Love Story. It's a Montlake book, so it is in Kindle Unlimited, but you can go ahead and you're going to want to purchase that title. And you want this paperback because it's beautiful and it belongs on everybody's shelves. Look at that gorgeous book. And then tell everybody what is next, because Um, I know it's Catalina's story, but what is the title again?
The title is Kiss Me, Catalina. So
Kiss,
I leaned heavily into the musicals
Kiss Me,
based on
Kate.
Shakespeare. So just
Yeah.
like Kiss Me, Kate. And
Yes.
again, I tried. I mean, I don't know if those songs are as well known, right, as West Side Love Story, but there are a few, like Brush Up Your Shakespeare and I Hate Men, and like, so there are I tried to give a couple nods to the musical, but again, it's my reimagining of Taming of the Shrew or Kiss Me Kate. It's Catalina, who is, I hate to say like the most talented, but probably all of the sisters would say that. Right, she plays multiple instruments, and she's the one that kind of does their mashups and is like the musical director of Mariachi Las Nubes, and she has always, like, she has stardom in mind. And so it's her story with Patricio Galan, who he is the host of the Battle of the Mariachi Bands, and his record label is the one that has upped the ante, like the prize, the prize money is bigger this year, which is what makes the sisters decide to enter, because they need the money to try to help save Casa Capioleta, the building, and the where the community center is, and where their family home is. So you will meet Patricio in here, but it is his record label, Patricio, is quietly has been he's got writer's block, and so he has not been making any progress on his next album. And so the record label hires Catalina. She signs a contract to help him work on his next album and go on the road with him. But he has a different plan in mind that she's not aware of. And so he does, you see in this book, in West Side Love Story, he does kind of give her, he pushes her, but she pushes back just as hard.
Yeah, she is like, she's a dynamic character. I cannot wait to read her story. And that one comes out in November?
That is November 1st.
Okay. Know what we'll be doing November. Carolina and I are both
July,
like,
August,
how can
September,
we get there?
That's 4 months. How do we get that early?
Thank you so much.
Okay, so if you guys are still here, give us a hey so that we can gift somebody a t-shirt.
We also have a request. Somebody says, if you can fit in South Pacifics, I'm going to wash that man right out of my hair. I'd be overjoyed. So we're giving you ideas as well. Welcome to
That's really funny. I would say, hey, I can give that a try, but I just turned in like right before, on the 31st, actually, I turned in page proof. So no more changes can be made to Kiss Me, Catalina, but that would be a fun musical to reimagine.
Book 3?
Look at Carolina. She's like, book 3.
Book 3?
Book 3. I have a loose idea for the twins, but I don't know if they'll, if I'll write it or if I'll work on. I also have another idea that's partially set in Puerto Rico that I would love to write.
Carolina,
there are 9 sisters. Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, all of those sisters, I'm like there for it. They're all so unique, and that was the other piece of it. I loved that you paid such respect and homage to the foster care system, but each girl, they're not perfect. They come with a little bit of their own history and their own baggage, but the way they come together as a family unit and the love and care that they have for each other was just so beautiful in this story. I just really liked it. I really liked this book. I've been telling everyone for at least a month now.
Well, I think I tried to say Arturo and Berta Capioleta are the parents, Papo and Mama, and so I feel I tried to, it's a testament to them and the home that they've created and that they opened to the girls. They're named after my grandparents. Papi's parents are Arthur and Bertha Hetler. Papi was one of 9 kids, just like there are nine Capuleta sisters, and it was the same thing. I remember our grandma and grandpa's home on C Street, where Angelo grew up. We'd have family would come, and you were like pushing the sofas back against the wall, because there was a dance floor down the middle of the living room, and come nighttime, there are like pallets of kids, on the floor, because the adults got the kids are, but on top of each other, so that everybody could be together for like that short weekend or that long weekend, kind of thing. And so that's the home that was home when we went to San Antonio, and that's kind of the vibe that I imagine Arturo and Berta Capuleta would have created in Casa Capuleta. Their homes, the apartments above the community center, but also the community center and the courtyard, where a lot of people from the neighborhood would have their celebrations.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Gretchen wants to know your favorite Puerto Rican dish. She's hungry and wants all the margaritas in the food.
So I would say Puerto Rican dish. It's probably like pernil, which is roast pork, and arroz con gandules. Gandules in English are like pigeon peas, but so it's a rice that has like the pigeon peas, and then I'm a big fan of like tostones, so they're fried plantains.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get them, alcapurrias. It's like a turnover, but it's a masa made with roots. So like yautias, like in the potato family, and it's stuffed with like ground meat beef, and so that's like a whole meal right there. So that's a Puerto Rican meal. If I'm making Mexican, if I'm cooking or eating Mexican, I'm a big fan of enchiladas. I love tamales. So good tamales. And when you're in San Antonio, you can get the tortillas. The tortillas are just even like you go to HEB, the local grocery store, and the tortillas are just you can tell that they're freshly made. They're so different than when I'm in Florida and I just go to my local grocery store and try to buy the package of, I'm not going to say a brand because I don't want to be ugly, but
I have a secret.
Yes.
I have a secret, and it's been my alternative because I live in Orlando and I love the tortillas. In San Diego, it's Northgate Market. You can get the fresh ones.
Really?
Costco has a package, and I'm blanking on the brand, which I can get to you later, of tortillas that are pressed. They're the flour ones, and you actually cook them stovetop, and they taste like
they do?
Almost close.
Okay, I'll try them. But when we go to San Antonio, like when we come back home, we bring, cheap, packages that we can keep in the fridge and hope that they'll last as long. But there's just a difference. Like when something's freshly made, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So when you go visit your sister, Becky, definitely, you can even just go to the HEB there and get some really good tortillas.
We just had a new restaurant. It's the one I go to all the time. They have fry bread. I am so obsessed now with fry bread. Like, I didn't even know this was a thing. How am I like 46 years old and I'm just now like eating this? Anyway.
Yum.
So, oh wait, do you have a list of all-time favorite San Antonio foodie places? This is Gloria asking.
Oh gosh. I would. We always go, like if we were having a family celebration or anything like that, we go to Mi Tierra. I always love to stop. It's fast food, but Taco Cabana has delicious, like I just go, I love their tacos, whether it's breakfast tacos, whether it's, regular tacos, and you can get an adult slushie through the drive-thru. Don't drink it in the car, wait till you get home. But usually like when I get picked up at the airport, if it's noon or later, like the first stop I want to go is like, can we just stop at Taco Cabana? Let's eat and get an adult slushie.
Yes.
We don't have Whataburger in Gainesville where I live. I live in Florida. And so we always, when we do go out, my cousins, my sister, when we're there, we go out, at that 2 a.m. and you're heading home. It's either you're going to stop at like Taco Cabana or you're going to hit Whataburger. But those are not like probably the restaurants you're looking for. So I would say definitely try Mi Tierra, whether it's for a meal or you're going to hit their bakery. The panaderia there is delicious. I don't know about, I'd have to think, because usually when we go, a lot of times we go to those places, but then like we're just eating like at my Tia's house, we're not really like, going out. But I can, if you really want to know, like if you're going and you want some suggestions, I'll hit my cousins and my tias up to be like, okay, where should somebody other than Mi Tierra go there? Yes. But where else would you recommend?
So my favorite New Mexican restaurant, they actually have takeaway slushy margaritas. That was the picture that I did with the weekend that I read the book. That was like the happiest day of my life. It's this giant, tall, like, anyway. I'm just crazy. Gloria says, yes, please. She would love a list of. Gloria, make sure you're following her on Instagram. Priscilla's really great about messaging back.
Yeah, you can DM me on Instagram.
Just slide right into her DMs. People crying because they don't have Whataburger. I've never had a Whataburger. I do not know.
And
I love In-N-Out, but Whataburger is good.
Hannah's now restaurantizing your Tia's house because she says your Tia's house is probably one of the best places to eat in San Antonio.
It is. It is, yes.
Where do we make the reservations? Because we'll be there.
Hello, Priscilla's Tia. Can we please come have dinner? She'd be like, what? We're internet friends. It's okay. We're not creepy or weird.
We're like this.
Okay, I have 5 people. Can you give me a number between 1 and 5, Priscilla?
3, because I have 3 daughters.
3. So, Miss Gloria, you won our t-shirt for the evening. Make sure you email me at thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com and with your shirt size, and we will get that out to you. Priscilla, thank you so much for joining us and sharing West Side Love Story with us. It's such a great read, and I hope everyone will go out and read it. So.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me. It was lots of fun. I loved meeting you, and thanks for all the great questions, people.
Until next time, everyone, we'll be back in a couple weeks with Lucy Score. Just make sure you follow the website. Happy reading until next time, everyone.
Yay. Adios.